Hello, listeners. Hi, my name is Madhavi, and I'm so happy to have you on UppTalk. You have come to the right place if you want to learn about IT and do really cool things with your hands. We are not just another IT company when I say UppTalk. Think of us as your learning partner dedicated to helping you reach your full potential. We have top notch hands on courses to help you build your business, whether you're new to technology or want to move up in your current job. Let's look around this as our first step towards learning.
In this example, what we are doing is that we have this API client postman and we are using this to make the API call. And this is the URL that we'll be using to make the API call. This is the payload that we'll be sending. What is the external key over here? 223947, which is this one, the first one, right? Now we can see the counts. It is, 100. Now what I'm going to do is that, first of all, we have to generate the access token before sending the request. I'll copy this access token. I'll come over here and then we have to replace the old access token with the new one. We are good now. Now what I'll be doing, I'll be just clicking on send button. We have got 202 accepted. Now we'll come back here and refresh this one. We can see 2 completed, right? We have. This is how, what will happen? All the information or the movement will make the API call. This will hit this trigger, send definition, and the email will be sent to this email address, right? Also, we can see that we had created one data extension, that is triggers and data extension. The record must be captured in that data extension. Let's go to the data extension. This is the one. This is the record. CSO47, email address and first name is now right. That's the information that we had sent through the payload. This is the email address, is the subscriber key, and this is the first name of the customer that we had sent, right? All of this information is captured and saved in this data extension, this trigger send data extension. Now, let's say if you want to send an email using the API, this is the way that you can use. You have to create the trigger send definition first, and then you have to make a call, and then you can send the email. This was the first example. Now, the second example is to trigger a journey, or maybe you can say that sending the records into the journey. That's something we will look at now. Let's go to journey. Let's create a new journey. We can give a name. Let's see. API journey. And we are going to use the entry source as API event. And then we are going to create a new event. We'll click on this, create an event. And here we have to select the data extension, right? You must have noticed one thing. Whenever we configure the journey with any entry source, the data is finally going to come into a data extension, right? And from that data extension, the data is going to come to journey. Either you can select the data extension directly, Obviously, the data would come from the data extension. If you select the cloud page, the cloud page is smart. Capture form is associated with one data extension from where the data will come into Marketing Cloud journey. If you select event, also here the data extension is associated. If you select data Salesforce data, the data first would come into the data extension and then it would come into the journey. Those data extension is the data structure where the data will be saved, right? It cannot just, enter into journey and it will, stay in here, right? It has to be somewhere. It has to be saved somewhere in the system. We only have one way, that is data extension, and we also have the list. But list, doesn't work with journeys. We only have one way, that is data extension. Any entry source that you pick, there has to be data extension associated. We have to choose one data extension where the data will be saved whenever we will fire this event or whenever we will make the API call. We can select any data extension. We'll be selecting the data extension that we had created. It's in this folder. This one. And we can click on summary. It is just giving us the warning that this data extension is already in use in other journey as well. That's not an issue. And we can click on Done button now. This is done. And whenever we create a new event, we get this event definition key. Now this key is unique to every event, and this helps us to fire a particular event. Now one thing that we need to. Let me just have random spread activity that we can activate our journey. Let me just save the journey first. We have configured and we have this event now. What will happen? The next step is to trigger or make the API call that the customer information can be injected into this journey. Once the contact, we have this in the journey, and then they can, flow into the journey. We can send the email, SMS, whatever we want to do. In order to inject the records into the journey, what we need to do? We need to make an API call. Now here are a few things. Few things that we need to, configure. The first thing is that the method, we have to select post. Now this is the base to your base UI that we will get as part of installed package. And this is a endpoint. And from where you will get it from the official documentation. Whenever you want to send any, or whenever you want to fire an event, then interaction, we even says that input. Now here in the payload, we can see we are inserting the contacts into the journey, right? We'll have to mention the contact key, event definition key that we have to copy from here. Let me just copy from here, this one. After that, we have the other information about customer that we want to store into the data extension, like first name, last, customer, and whatever, the detail that we want to see. And now one thing that we need to keep in mind, whenever we are choosing a data extension, if we are trying to insert the record, we have to have all those values at least, which is not relevant. Otherwise, we will not be able to insert the record into the data extension. Now we will take a look at the data extension. Like what all fields are required, we have to pass all those values. through the API call. We'll come over here and then we will select this data extension, this one. And here we will see that email address is not nullable. Toby is not nullable. Customer ID is not nullable. These three fields are not nullable. We have to pass at least the values for these three fields. Apart from that, if you want to pass any other value, then that is fine. If you don't want to pass, that is also fine. But at least we have to pass these three values. We'll go to our API call and then I think first trip card field is email. And then we have Doobie. And then we have, I think, customer ID, customer. Let's say this is the email. Let's say it's well done. Now, could be. Let's say 22. This is the customer ID. I'm going to remove this. Now, apart from that, if you want to have any other information, we can also have that. But I'm just having these three values. Email Doobie customer ID, which is mandatory. Now we have prepared the payload. This will remain. The data type would be JSON. Now we'll come to the header. And in the header, we have pass the access token as well. But before that, I have to activate my journey. Right now, it is in the draft version. And the draft journey cannot accept the contact. Want my journey to accept the contacts. Then I have to activate it. But before that, I'll have to make some changes. The journey settings, like contact entry mode. We are put over here and click on done. And now I'm going to activate this journey. Click on act. Journey is activated and it is ready to accept the new contacts into the journey. Right? What we will be doing, first of all, we have to generate the access token. Our call would be authorized. We will be copying the access token and we will come back over here in the header. We have to add a new key, that is authorization. And the value would be access to. Now we will come to body. We have the contact key, event definition key. Doobie customer. I think we are good. Now let's click on send button. We have got the status code. Tool This is also a success code. It means request has been fulfilled and there is a new resource being created whenever you are trying to perform a functionality in which the creation of something is involved. Then this success code will be written. Your request is completed. Is successfully. accepted and completed. And we have got this success code. Now, in order to verify, we will have to go to journey, and then we will see if the record has entered into the journey or not. Right now it is showing 0 entries. I will go to date extension as well to see if we have the additional record or not. I think this is the record. This one. Tesso and Atak Mailcom. Customer ID is TCO. And this is the DOB that we had entered over there. This is the record which has entered. Now we can also go to journey and just to verify if the record has entered or not. We can see one record has entered into journey as well. And we can see that what is the contact key and everything. The contact key is user 910. This is the same contact that we pushed from the API to Marketing Cloud journey. I mean this code that you can write in any external web application, and from there you can fire the event in the API. You can trigger the API. You can push the records into Marketing Cloud journey. Now, once you do that, after that, like whatever you want to do, the way you want to configure the journey, you can. Any doubt for? I'll take the design. For we have a little about REST 8. With the help of the API, what we can do? We have, let's say, external web application. And if you want to, communicate with the Marketing Cloud to perform such functionality, we have seen one way that we can use. We can use Postman, which is our API client tool. And we have to, first generate the access token and then, make another AI call to perform the functionality. And we have to, pass the payload and everything. That's something we have looked at. Right. This is a REST API, which is a JSON based, like the data that you are passing, the payload that we are passing, that is in the JSON format. Right. What happens is that when Salesforce thought that there should be 2 types of user, who should be consuming our application, one of the human users like us, and the application, itself, which can consume our Marketing Cloud road resources. They had initially only the SOAP, but SOAP is not that efficient, little bit slowed and not very developer friendly and also very complicated. That is what I mean. After that, they had introduced this REST, which is easy, which is new, efficient, and very developer friendly. In case of REST appeal, we have seen that it is a JSON based REST appeal, gives us the access to new Marketing Cloud applications. For example, in Marketing Cloud, you would see we have Journey Builder, we have Content, right? We have Contact Builder. All of these things are latest development, or applications in Marketing Cloud. REST API, will support all of these applications Whereas the older applications, like Email Studio, these kind of applications is only supported by SOAP. Not everything that you can do with the REST API. Whatever you want to do, it is not possible with the REST API. A few of the things are supported by REST and few of the things are supported by SOAP API. There could be few of the things in Marketing Cloud which is not supported, like neither by SOAP nor REST. We have seen the Journey Builder example. We also have seen the triggers and definition, right? All of these things can be done through the REST API. The request data that we send in the form of the JSON, that's what we have seen. REST calls, asynchronous, second, non-tracking operations, and things like that. The maximum payload that we can send is, right? If we will talk about SOAP is a little bit different. The data that we pass to the server, it is in the XML format, not in the JSON format. It would be in the NFOD. SOAP will provide the access to most of the email functionality if you want to interact with the Email Studio. If you want to create a data extension, if you want to add records for data extension, subscriber management, these kind of things that you will mostly be doing with the SOAP and the data that we pass in case of in the form of the payload. In SOAP, the data in the form of the SOAP envelope. That's something we'll look at. Let's look at one example that you will understand things more clearly. Let it load. Create a new automation. Let's say generally what we do. Let's say if you want to manually run the automation, we click on Run Once button and we run the automation, right? But let's say we want to run the automation using the SOAP API. What all things? Let me delete. We just have to have at least one div that we can, see that if it is running or not. I'll just configure it for 1 minute and click on, and we'll save this. Right. This is the automation that we have created. It has one activity, that is wait activity for 1 minute. Manually, we can run using the Run Once button. But in this example, we have to see that how we can run the automation. What we'll do, we'll come back to our post. What happens is that we cannot, let's understand this way. We have to generate, we have to write a new request. In that request, the method would be post. And then this is that you will be hitting. This is your authentication. Before this, let's understand one more thing that helps. There's something called Wisdom, which is web services description language What is this wisdom? When developers who created the marketing cloud application, right, they also create one document in which they write what all things that you can do with the SOAP API, right? Otherwise, we are the users or application, right? We are the users of marketing cloud application and the developers who develop this application. If I don't have a document or if I don't have any, you know, official documentation or anything like that, how would I get to know what all things are possible with the SOAP API or what all things I can do? Or, how would I do that thing, those things? And for that, what they do, the developers, any application, they would create one document that is called visit. It is a standard document that application developers has to create if they want the users of that application to use the web service. Or you can say that's one of the same thing. Web service description language. This is a document, ML document, in which the developer has to write all the services that they provide, and the user can, look at this document and understand what all things are possible and what all things we can do. How do we access this visual document? We have to come over here and then we have to go to in the setup. We will do account settings. Company settings, account settings. Here you will see two URL. One is the visit and service. In visit, when you click on this, it will open one document or the web page. Everything is written like in the form of the XL, what all things can be done. Just to show you. For example, let's say if you will search automation, right? You will see some object, return over here. Similar, return over here. That we have something called automation. Automation source. You don't have to, understand all of these things. How it is written, because this is written by developers, right? Just for the understanding what all things are possible. Let's say journey. Then I will not find anything related to journey because we cannot do anything related to journey using SOAP. Here you will get the idea what all things can be done, that you can perform those activities. Now let's say that was one thing. The visual document, like what is it? And the users of the application can take the benefit from it. Now the another thing is that in the settings, we also have this in this SOAP service endpoint. This endpoint, you can copy it and then you have to paste it in the Postman while making the SOAP API calls. This is the URL that you will get from the account setting. In case of REST, what we were doing, we had selected the method. We had this URL as well. It was different, but we had the URL of the server. which we were hitting. In case of REST, we were sending the data to the server in the frame, like in the JSON format, and we can say it in the form of a payload. Now, when we send the data to the server, like what functionality that we want to perform, or what functionality that we want the marketing, a cloud to perform, we have to send the data in the form of the SOAP envelopes. This is the SOAP envelope. Now, inside the SOAP envelope, there are two things. One is the SOAP header and the SOAP body. Now, the envelope, contains these two tags, header and body. The header contains the authentication. It will not contain the actual data or the actual information that needs to be sent to the server, but it would contain the metadata or any other information that is required to authorize the request. We will be mentioning our access token like this, and in the body, we will be mentioning like what exactly we want to do. We want to actually retrieve something over here. That's what we have written. Now you must be wondering from where we will get this envelope and how we are writing all of these things, right? We don't write the SOAP envelopes. What we do, we have the official documentation, which whatever the functionality that we want to perform, we have to copy the SOAP envelope and then we can paste it over here, similar to the REST API. That we cannot try it. All of these things, payload, we don't know, like which attribute that we need to pass, the values we change, how we can, write the entire payload. Similar for the SOAP envelopes. The official documentation, share the information. From where you will get this, let me show you. You will come to this developer, Salesforce, and then you will come to the web service guide. Here we have the SOAP web service. Now you can come to this thing and let's say we have this. Let's say add data to a data extension. If you want to add the data to a data extension, for that, they have shared the SOAP envelope. If you would see this thing, they have shared a SOAP envelope. If you want to add the data to a data extension, we have to copy from here everything. And then we have to pass while making the patron. Now one thing that is changed in our SOAP envelope and over here, as that in the header, they have mentioned the user token. They have mentioned the username and password. Since we don't have the username and password, we are using another tag that is called foo. Here you can see it, foo. You have two ways. Either you can mention the access token to authorize our ACOs, or you can mention the username and password for the API call authentication. we are not using. This way, we are using that a fewer options in which we have to pass the access token. There are lots of examples. I go through the entire documentation, and then you would find for each and every, functionality that you want to perform, you have the shop envelope. Just have to copy, make the required changes, and, make the API call. We'll be looking at a couple of examples. The first example is that how we can start the automation. In order to start the automation, what we need is, here we can see it. We know the name of the automation that we need to understand, that we need to start. To actually start the automation, the shop call requires the object ID. Object ID is a unique ID of the automation that you can understand. That it is a unique ID which is given to the each and every automation. We don't have that object ID for now, right? We only know the name of the automation, but we don't have that object ID. What we need to do, we have to make two shop API calls into the first shop API call that we will make to extract the object ID. For this automation, SOAPify example, another shop API call we will make where we will pass that object ID and we will start the automation. First of all, we are extracting the object ID. Like, what is the ID of this automation? Named a shop API example. We will come over here. This is our shop envelope. I will be changing the access token in a while. Now, if we will come to body, here we can see that we are interacting with the object. Here we are passing, like what we need. We need the object ID for which automation, where name equals, here it is written like it. We are making a filter property. Name equals to this. Here we have to change to the name of this automation. That's the one, right? We are good. This is the only change that you need to make in the body. I mean in the shop envelope. Here you would be selecting the XL as you are sending the data in the form of the XL. Now we will come to the header. In the header, we don't have to pass the access token, right? Because we are passing the access token in the form of the swamp envelope only. Now in the header, this one attribute or header that you have to add, basically two. One is the content type and scope actuate. Content type would be text ML as we are sending the data in the form of the XML. You have to explicitly mention content type text ML, and SOAP action would be retrieve. SOAP action means that whenever you make a SOAP API call, we have to mention that what kind of action that you are performing. We are retrieving the object ID, what kind of action that we are performing. Retrieve the answer of this thing, like what would be the SOAP action. You can get it from the SOAP envelope itself. When the SOAP body starts, we are always making some request. If it is a retrieve request, then the SOAP action would be retrieved. For example, if you look at the official documentation, here you can see that it is a perform request. Action will become performed, right? What are the requests that we are making? It will change into that one. This is one of the change in the header that you will be making in the body. We have made the changes. We have changed to XML. We are done with the URL. Method would be post. Now we just have to generate the access token, and then we will be making the SOAPy play call. I will copy this one. And then here, we will change this to this guy. And then we will click on send button. We have got a 200, which means success. And in the response, we can see something called object ID. This is the object ID of the automation named Pepe example. We will copy this from here. Now in the second automation, set Pepe example. What we need to do. Here we are actually trying to run the automation. The method would be post. We are good. The URL will remain same. In case of SOAP API calls, we are not using the endpoints. I mean the different endpoints. The SOAP URL will always remain same. The data like what functionality that you want to perform will pass as part of SOAP envelope. Now in the envelope, the access token will be changing. Now you see that we are not retrieving anything, but what we are doing, we are performing an action. We are basically starting the automation that would fall into the perform category. We are making a perform request. Now what is the action we want to start? Here like what we want to start. Here we need to mention the object ID. That this is what we want to start. This is the object ID of the automation that we want to start. This is the account ID. How do you get the account ID? When you go to the Marketing Cloud account, and if you power over your account name, you will get this. So that's what it is mentioned over here. We are done with the postmed. URL list. Body is we have. Change the data to the XML. Now we'll come to the header, and here we have added two different head. One is content type, text, action would be performed. Now let me just open access token that we had just generated. I'll copy this one, come over here, and then we'll have to paste it over here. Now we are good. I'll be just making the SOAPy paid call now. We have got 200. Now I'll come to the Marketing Cloud. And then we'll see if the automation has started or not. As we can see, it just started, right? It is starting. It just started. And it will run for 1 minute. And then it will stop, right? This is how we can use the SWAP API to run the automation. And out for. In the next example, we are going to look at that how we can retrieve the list of data extensions from the from our account. You want to see that what all data extensions we have in our entire account and what is the name of the data extension or any other property that you want to retrieve about the data extension that you can retrieve. Again, we'll follow the same process. We have the post method. The URL will remain same. In the body, we have the swap envelope. The the access token will change. Now here what we are doing, we are retrieving the data extension list. Right? That is a retrieve request. Here, we don't have to pass anything. We need the data extension, like all the data extension in our account. We'll just write data extension. What all we need? We need the object ID of the data extension and also name of the data extension. And then we'll come to the header. Here we have content type, text, shop action, and retreat. I'll be copying the access token. We'll go to triggered send. We'll come over here and then I'll replace the access token. And click on send button. What it will do, it will retrieve all the data extension list. Over here, we can see the data extension that we had created. It should be over here, that is custom. Information. You can see it. This is the data extension that we are created. Whatever the data extension that we have in the entire account, it is complete list of all the data extension. Any doubts, Fa? We have talked about the REST API and SOAP API, if no doubt. Then we can move on to our next topic. Next topic that we have is Marketing Cloud Connect. As we know, Marketing Cloud Connect, we used integrate the tool system, right? Marketing Cloud and any other system in the Salesforce secret system, Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, Community Cloud, right? That's what we do with the Marketing Cloud Connect. Here are a few things that you need to understand. I have already created the, documentation in which step I have written all the steps, like one by one, that you have to log into this, you have to go over there, you have to click on this and everything. I have already mentioned this documentation. You can use this documentation, to follow. Set up the integration between two systems from the conceptual. Here are a few things that we will understand. The first thing is like how the integration happens is as a prerequisite. What we need, obviously, we need the marketing cloud system. And let's say if you are integrating with sales cloud system, that's something we will have. Let's see. Apart from that, we would need to use one user from the marketing cloud side and one user from the sales cloud side. User, we can call it as an integration user. These two users would be doing the hand checking to integrate the system with each other. We need one from the Marketing Cloud side, and we need one from the Salesforce side user that we need from the Marketing Cloud side. If you see, when we create a user, we have one property that is called appears at whichever user that we are using. For the integration purpose, the Marketing Cloud user has to be an A user. What does that mean? When we create a user, it has a property, it has that checkbox called appeal. When we check that checkbox, that user becomes the API user. That's something we need to have as a prerequisite. And on the Salesforce side, we should have that, admin user or whatever, user that you want to have on the user that you will be having on the Salesforce side. There are two checkboxes: Marketing Cloud for App Exchange and Marketing Cloud for App Exchange. These two boxes that you should have if you want to set up in relation. Or let me do one thing. Let me see that if we, but even if, let's say, we don't have we have the permission. Actually, we don't know if we can disintegrate and reintegrate this again. That's something I'm not sure. On the Salesforce side, whenever you will be creating a user, that user should have these permissions: Marketing Cloud for App Exchange and Marketing for App Exchange. If these permissions are enabled or are given to that user, then that user, you can use it for the integration. What we have understood is that you need two users, one user from Marketing Cloud and one user from the Salesforce side. The user from the Marketing Cloud should be the API user, and the user from the Salesforce side, Salesforce Sales Cloud. That user should have these two permissions: Marketing Cloud for this and Marketing Cloud for this. Once we are done with these user configurations, what we need to do? We need to do the two-side integration. From the Marketing Cloud, you will have to come to Apps and Sales for integration. And then let me edit this and show you. Right now, we are getting the option to disconnect account because it is already integrated. If it is not integrated, then we have the option to connect account. We click on this button, connect account, and after that, what happens is it will ask the credentials of the integration user from the Salesforce site. And then we have to pass, let's say, test at the rate, Salesforce Sales Cloud, something like that. Then we have to enter the password. Once we provide the credentials of the Salesforce user, then it will establish the connection. Like, let's say this is the email address of the Salesforce user, and this is the Salesforce OAuth to which this Marketing Cloud system is connected, and it will show us connect. This is the integration that you can do from the Salesforce site. Also, when you go to that Salesforce Sales Cloud, there also you have to establish the connection from the SFMC side. We can see that it will go to the admin, type Salesforce integration, connect account. It will ask for the credentials. We will have to enter the system user credentials, and this will establish the connection between Marketing Cloud and Salesforce user. All of these things are done when we go to the Salesforce site. These are the different things that we need to do, like we need to go to set, manage connected apps, and then we have to edit the policies, permitted users. We have to refresh some token policy. These are all the settings that we have to do on the Salesforce side. We have to create a permission set, and these things like setup workflow user, all of these things we need to do. That's not a very complicated one. The integration is generally easy. We just have to understand the fundamentals. We just need two types of user. Once we have these users, we just have to come over here and connect the two systems with each other. I think one more thing that we were talking about the single org and the multi-org connector. We have two types of connector, single org connector and multi-org connector. Single org connector will help you with when we have this multi-org connector enabled. This is basically a configuration that we have to enable by raising the Salesforce support case. What happens is that if we have this configuration enabled, and if it is like once it is enabled, then we cannot turn it off, or we cannot undo this process. When we purchase the Marketing Cloud account, we have to enable this configuration like multi-org or single org. In case of multi-org, like what we can do in enterprise, two accounts. Imagine that we have two business units, and what we can do. And on the Salesforce side, we have different org. Now you can imagine this as, let's say, when we work with a project, we have different environment. We have testing environment, we have UAT environment, and then we have production environment. Let's say we only have two environment. One is, a development and testing, and another one is production. Let's say testing and development environment, which we have connected with the Sales Cloud account, which is also used for the development and testing. Now the B2 is connected with the, which is for our production, Sales Cloud production. This configuration is possible in case of multi-org connector. Also, what is supported? We have two business units from the Marketing Cloud, you all of this data. We connect these two business units with single Sales Cloud or versus a single Salesforce account. That is also possible with multi-org connection. Blue one, this orange one represent two different business units from the same account. These two different business units are from the different account. All of these configurations are possible with the multi-org connector. Now, in case of the single org connect, what we can do? We can only establish like only a single business unit can be connected with a single Salesforce account. Here you can see we have the multiple business units connected to a single Salesforce account. That is your multi-org configuration, where we have multiple business units connected with the single Salesforce account. But in case of single, like single org connector, single org configuration, where the single business unit can be connected to the single org like this one. In the multi-org, all these things are possible, like 3 different configurations are possible. Please do like, share, and subscribe to our channel. For more information, contact us sales@therightuptalk.com.